All right, every coach knows this kid. The one who looks like an absolute all-star in practice. I mean, just lights out. But then the game starts and poof, they're gone. It's one of the most frustrating things in sports, right? Well, today we're going to dig into some really cool research that explains exactly why this happens, and way more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
Come on, you've been there. You set up this beautiful cone drill, the kids are in a perfect line, weaving in and out, heads up, crisp passes. It's like a basketball ballet. You feel like a genius, like you should be conducting this whole thing with a little baton. But here's the question we got to ask ourselves. Are we actually coaching basketball players, or are we just programming robots?
So here's where it all falls apart. Our drills, they're predictable. They're neat and tidy. The game, it's pure chaos. It's messy. We do drills with no defenders, but the game is crawling with them. It's this huge gap between the practice world and the real world that we're going to tackle. And we're going to use a research paper on something called ecological dynamics. Now, I know that sounds super academic, but trust me, the big idea behind it is simple, and honestly, it's a total game changer.
All right, first things first, we have to blow up the biggest myth in all of coaching. You know the one, it's been drilled into our heads since we were kids. Perfect practice makes perfect. The idea that if we just have our players repeat the exact same perfect motion a million times, they'll turn into superstars.
We're all guilty of it, right? Chasing that perfect jump shot form, that perfect crossover. But this research paper asks a really provocative question. What if chasing that one single textbook perfect technique is actually the very thing holding our players back? What if it's actually making them worse when it really counts?
Okay, so the paper uses this big fancy word, degeneracy. Don't worry about the word. The idea behind it is brilliant. Think of it like this. Old school coaching gives a player one single key for one single lock. But a real game isn't one lock, it's 100 different locks that are changing all the time. Degeneracy is about giving your players a whole keychain. It's about giving them a plan B and a plan C and a plan D so they can find a way to score no matter what door is in front of them.
In this quote from the paper, man, it just hits the nail on the head. It says, it's basically pointless to expect every kid to move in the exact same ideal way. I mean, think about it. Every player is built differently. They're tall, short, fast, strong. Forcing them all into the same cookie-cutter mold, you're not just ignoring who they are, you're literally killing the creativity they need to solve problems on the court.
Okay, so let's get to myth number 2. And this one, well, this one's for the coach who's a little bit of a control freak. You know who I'm talking about. The one on the sideline with the joystick in their hand, yelling, "Left foot there! No, not that foot, your other left foot!" Trying to control every single move their players make. Yeah, the paper basically says, stop that. Stop being a puppet master.
You just can't pull all the strings fast enough in a real game. Instead, you need to change your whole mindset. You need to start being a gardener. Think about it. A gardener doesn't stand there and yell at a tomato plant, "Hey, grow to the left," right? No. A gardener creates the conditions, the right soil, the right amount of water and sun, and then lets the plant find its own way to grow.
So, what does a gardener coach do? Well, your job is to be the architect of the practice. You prepare the soil, that means you design really smart drills. You add the sun and water by changing the rules, or what the paper calls constraints. Stuff like making the court smaller, or adding an extra defender, or saying you have to score in 5 seconds. And then, and this is the hardest part for most of us, you step back. You let the plants grow, you let the players explore and figure things out on their own.
Which brings us to our final, and honestly probably the most important myth we're going to bust today. It's the belief that what we do in practice doesn't have to look anything like what happens in a real game.
Okay, let's just get this out of the way. This is not a defender. A bright orange cone has never talked trash to you. It's never tried to take a charge. It has never ever stolen your ball. It's just a piece of plastic.
This, on the other hand, this is a defender, a real, live human being whose only goal in that moment is to make your life difficult. And the skills you need to beat that person, they are a million miles away from the skills you need to dribble around a cone.
And this, right here, is the golden rule of this whole approach. The paper calls it representative design. All it means is that your practice has to look and feel like the real game. The drills have to present the same challenges. The players have to be reading the situation and making decisions, not just running a pre-programmed pattern. And when you look at it this way, the difference is just staggering. A cone drill, your decision-making score is basically 0. The only decision is, don't trip over the orange thing. But when you put in a real defender, even in a simple one-on-one drill, suddenly decision-making and adaptability go through the roof. That's where you build skills that actually transfer to the game. Here's a perfect example the paper gives. A kid spends hours in an empty gym perfecting their shot. It's beautiful, it's smooth, it's repeatable. But what happens the second a defender runs out and sticks a hand in their face? That perfect shot is useless. It's too slow, the release is too low, it gets blocked every time. They've practiced a skill that only works when no one is guarding them. So if we change how we coach, it also has to change how we spot talent, right? This whole way of thinking flips talent identification on its head. For years, we've probably been looking for the wrong things.
The old way, we looked for the kid who looked perfect in drills, the one with the textbook form, the robot. But the new way, we should be looking for the kid who just finds a way. Their shot might look a little funky, a little unorthodox, but it goes in. They're creative, they're adaptable, they find functional solutions to problems. That's the player who's going to help you win.
So, let's put it all together. Here's your new coaching playbook. Number 1, embrace the mess. Get comfortable with a little bit of chaos in your practices. Number 2, be a gardener, not a puppet master. Create problems for your players to solve. Don't just give them the answers. And number 3, make it real. Every drill, every practice should have perception and action just like the real game. And I think this final quote from the paper sums up the whole philosophy perfectly. The goal isn't to make every player move the same way. It's to help each player build their own personal, functional way to get the job done.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. The next time you're setting up your practice and you're laying out all those cones in a perfect line, just stop and ask yourself, am I training my players to be really good at this drill? Or am I training them to be really good at the game?